Hey there, and welcome to The Drive. I am Brian Montopoli of CBS News, here to talk to you about the race for the Republican presidential nomination. And who else are we talking about but Herman Cain, the man who's been dominating headlines since the story broke on Sunday about these sexual misconduct allegations. Now, Cain is talked about as the frontrunner for the nomination because he's at the top of the polls, including our CBS News poll of Republican primary voters. But the reality here is that Cain isn't really the frontrunner for the nomination if you talk to insiders. And what I want to talk to you about today is the fact that even though everyone's talking about Herman Cain, he's not really the story. Now, let's take a quick look at the board. I have at the front of the pack on our big board on the drive to the nomination, Mitt Romney as our frontrunner, followed by Rick Perry, then Herman Cain, then the rest of the field. The reason that I have Herman Cain in third is that despite his high position in the polls don't tell you that much right now. Look at Rudy Giuliani. In December 2007, Giuliani was at the top of the polls. That was later in the cycle than we are now. Of course, Giuliani wasn't the nominee. McCain was down in third place. He was actually tied with Fred Thompson, a guy who sort of disappeared very quickly. So polls don't mean that much right now. What does matter is money, and that's something Herman Cain does not have. Rick Perry and Mitt Romney have built up really good fundraising networks. Cain simply doesn't have that. And even more important than that is just the fact that Cain isn't taken very seriously by the Republican establishment. They desperately want to beat Barack Obama next year. And they look at Herman Cain and they don't see a candidate who can do that. Why is that? Number of reasons. One, Cain hasn't really been taking his candidacy very seriously. He's not organized in Iowa. He seems to be more concerned with selling books than really running a traditional campaign. But more importantly, just as a candidate, Cain has not been great. You look at the way he's handled these sexual harassment allegations. I mean, frankly, he should not have gone out and had one story in the morning and another story in the evening on Monday. He's really fed this story in a way that's just been, from a crisis management perspective, a disaster. And it's not just that. You look at his comments this week about foreign policy, where he suggested that China does not have nuclear capability. A guy who's running for president should be aware that China does, in fact, have nuclear weapons. It's been a number of things. He's just been kind of a stumbling, bumbling candidate. And for a Republican Party that wants to win, they look at him and they say, you know what, this isn't our guy. So the outside groups, these Karl Rove groups, the establishment figures, they're not going to rally behind him. So the fact of the matter is, while Cain is an entertaining story this week, and while everyone's having a lot of fun with it, he's probably not our front runner. So enjoy the headlines this week, but keep in mind they're a sideshow. If you want to stay focused on who are the front runners for the nomination, you should be focused on Mitt Romney, who's really enjoying this week because he can keep his head down while Cain sucks up the headlines. And you should be talking about Rick Perry, a guy with enough money to challenge Romney. In any event, that's all we have for today on The Drive. I'm Brian Montopoli, CBS News. We will see you next time.